I guess it's going to start that automatically. All right, well, we have a couple of people already in the room here. It looks like people are dropping in. Got 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll give it here one or 2 minutes for folks to drop in. But if you are here for Winter 14ers, you are in the right place. We're lucky enough to be joined today by Bruce and Brendan with the Alpine Rescue Team. Bruce is going to be sharing most of the presentation today with us on 14er safety during the winter season. And Brendan will be our man at the keys. So if you do have a question to ask during the session today, story to tell, a comment to add, you can go ahead and drop that into the Q&A down there. You'll see on the bottom bar, and he will do his best to answer that for you, or we will answer it if it's more involved at the end of the session. So to get us kind of rolling here, my name is Alex Durr. I'm the founder of The Next Summit, a mountain blog for all, and we're sort of hosting today's webinar. It's actually part of our monthly webinar mountains skills series. So we do regular sessions on things like using a map and compass, how to climb your first summer 14er. Obviously, this session is on your winter 14er and similar things. So just keep your eyes open for some emails down the road, sharing our future webinars that'll be coming up in the next couple of months. Today here, we're joined, as I said, by Alpine Rescue Team. There are guest presenters this month, and we're really generous in sharing their time, their experience, and a lot of their wisdom with us, about how to stay safe out on a winter 14er. So with that, I think everyone here will learn quite a lot. I've already learned a lot just chatting with them, and really appreciate their time. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Bruce here, who will kind of kick things off for us. So thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Alex. Were you going to do that survey first? You're muted.
Thanks. Yeah, let me quick launch that here. So what we're going to start with is just a quick one question poll that asks essentially what your experience level is when it comes to winter recreation in the mountains. So I'm going to hit launch here. There we go. And so you should see this pop up. There we go. And so the question is, what is your level of experience recreating in the winter outdoors? And that's pretty open inclusive, whether that's skiing, hiking, camping, climbing, do you spend, would you say, a lot of time outdoors, you almost live out there, a moderate amount, some, or not much at all. You don't go often, or hey, maybe you have no experience and you're here to learn. That's probably the best. So we'll give it one more moment here. But it looks like overwhelmingly we're in that, middle category, that nice normal curve where, it looks like most people, so about 71% of people are in that middle category of having some experience. We've got a handful of people with no experience, and then, 2 or 3 each with, both a little and a lot. So pretty typical curve there, I would say. So
cool.
Great.
Okay, I'll take it over then, if that's okay.
Yeah, take it away.
All right, thanks. Welcome, folks. As Alex said, my name is Bruce Beckman. I'm with Alpine Rescue Team. I've started search and rescue back in 1983, and to date have about 800 rescues under my belt. I was with Seattle Mountain Rescue for about 8-9 years, so I did a lot of rescues up on Mount Rainier and in the west. So little bit of experience at different size mountains, etc. Tonight, we're going to go through climbing winter 14ers here in Colorado. It's going to be a pretty fast-paced discussion. The presentation will be recorded, so I suggest you listen, take a few little notes here or there, but go back on the recording and get what information you need in detail. There's a lot of information, and I put that out specifically on the pages of the PowerPoint so that you could go back and view it later and glean whatever you need from that. So having said that, Brendan is my colleague. He is going to be manning the chat box. If there's questions, Brendan's got a tremendous amount of experience as well. So he'll handle that, and any questions we want to defer to the end, we'll do. And if we run over a little bit, I hope Alex is good with that. So with that, I think we'll start the presentation. Okay, hope everyone can see that okay.
Looks good, Bruce.
Good. Okay. As I said, I'm with the Alpine Rescue Team. We're all volunteer organization dedicated to saving lives through search, rescue, and mountain safety education. This is part of that education process. So if you want to go out and make a tax-deductible donation, alpinerescueteam.org, we appreciate it. It is tax deductible. One thing to remember, we never do charge for rescues. Let's see. I want to stop my video. How about that?
Looks perfect.
Okay, good. All right. Get back into the screen here. So today is tips about climbing 14ers. Mountains are not fair or unfair. They're just flat out dangerous. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going to emphasize this an awful lot, especially when you're talking winter. It's one thing to make some airs during the summer. You can't make airs in the winter. It is extremely unforgiving out there, and especially with the winds. The other day, yesterday, it was 45, 50 degrees here in Denver, and we were running a mission up in Boulder County, and we had minus 20 wind chill with 60 and 70 mile an hour winds. So what's good in the city is not necessarily good up in the mountains. So our goal come back from goal for every mountain outing is what? The summit, right? No, we want to come home again. We want to be able to come home so we can go out and do it again and enjoy it. So before we go, we're going to talk about some preparation things. Dynamics. One of the big things we see, people get together in chat groups, hey, let's go climb a mountain, and they don't know one thing about the other. People tend to exaggerate their capabilities, their knowledge, etc., and then they get up on the mountain and they run into trouble. So you got to really sort that out early. Hold a Zoom meeting between the groups. We like group 4. If somebody gets injured, you can have one person stay with that individual and do medical care, while the other 2 handle communications and securing the site from weather, etc. Learn about your people before you go up, because your life might depend on it. Match the abilities of the members. It's perfectly fine to say, hey, I've never done a 14er, but everyone needs to know that in advance and need to know that maybe we're not going to make it all the way. You know, we're going to take this person up, let them do what they can do. And if they can't make it, we're all going to turn around. We're not going to separate. Look at your equipment. How are you going to hand out the equipment, and what are you taking? Write that out and discuss it in a Zoom meeting. We should be bringing all of this gear. Some of that gear may be individual. Some of it may be something you can carry in a group. In other words, one person. Do you need 4 stoves? No, maybe 1 stove will work. So think about what you can spread out across the group, but other things definitely are individual, and figure that out. You need to determine a lead. But you also need to do your own homework, and feel free to ask questions. I can tell you about a group up in the Alps, all experienced backcountry folks, skiers. They put their faith and trust into their leader, because they were paying a couple $1,000 for this week-long trek, and 5 out of the 7 died because of weather, not avalanche, but weather. No one was paying attention. They just followed this guy blindly. So do your own homework. No more than what that person who's leading is. Do your homework, understand the mountain, understand the routes that you're going to take. What's the main route? What's a secondary route? Where do I get off if I have to get off? And know what it's going to take to get you out of there. You sit down and you all agree on major decision points. These are, what time are we going to start? We're not bringing anybody to the trailhead at 3:30 in the morning and saying, oh, I thought my buddy John could join the group. That doesn't work. What time are we going to turn around if we don't summit? Things like that. So you need to figure out the decision points, and we'll talk about some more later. Equipment checks. You want to do equipment checks before you even head out. You want to do equipment checks the day of. You want to do an equipment check the morning of. I can't tell you how many folks we've rescued and said, you know, I should have had my crampons. I left them in the back seat of the car. I forgot to put them in the pack. So be sure you do all your equipment checks before you actually head out from the car. Everybody knows about the 10 essentials. We call it 10 essentials plus 1. Real quick, I'm not going to belabor this point. Headlamp with fresh batteries. I don't care if you put batteries in last week, put fresh batteries in. Navigation, map and compass should always have it. A GPS unit, or what are you going to use? Are you using Gaia? Are you using CalTopo? And if you are, you know, what are you going to use in the way of a battery pack? Sun protection gets very blinding out there, and you want goggles now. You don't want sunglasses. You want to have clothing for cold and wet. In case you do get wet, can you change out of something? Extra food, extra water. And when I say extra food and extra water, that means extra food and extra water that you never consume. You do not consume that food unless you are in an emergency situation. You have to stay in a spot because somebody got injured. That's your extra food and extra water. Don't consume that. Pack it in, pack it out. Pocket knife of some sort, good edge. Emergency shelter, bothy bag is nice for winter, and I'll show you that in a minute. A lot of you probably don't know of a bothy bag. It's not a bivy bag, it's a bothy bag. And I do like both, and we'll explain that. First aid kit, more importantly, know how to use it. You don't need to go up there and be able to do open heart surgery, but you do need to be able to handle cuts and abrasions, etc. Fire starter, ferro rods are nice in the winter because these little propane or butane cigarette lighters will not work in the wind. They won't work in extreme cold, and they won't work in high elevation. Have a winter stove. A companion, at least 2. Okay, we like to have a total of 4 in a group. So there you go. Here's my partner. She was camping there, got her little pad out to kneel down on. She's got a hole dug in the side, and she's making some hot chocolate with a Savea 123 white gas stove. This is a stove that's used by rescuers. This is a stove that's used at high elevation. It works at high elevation, and it can melt up and boil a quart of water in about 6 minutes. So something to think about having. And essentials, we talked about navigation now, low or high tech. Should always have a map and a compass, kind of know where you're at on there, double check it. It's perfectly fine to go high tech GPS units. I love them. Gaia is great. We use CalTopo, which is SAR Topo for us in the rescue community. You can do a lot with that. Always have a spare battery pack because you may have to spend the night. Helmet, beacon, yep. Ice fall, rock fall, have a good battery in your flashlight? Have you taken your AVI class? Review your notes and review your snow conditions and snow packs. First aid kit we talked about, flight plan. This is a detail written out. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What route are we going to take? Where are we going to park the car? What's our hard turnaround times? It's all laid out. So it's literally a flight plan of what your day is going to be like. Trail traction. You need a lot of stuff more in the winter than you do in the summer. Alpine axes, snowshoes, bothy or a bivy shelter. I like to carry an extra 150 feet of lightweight climbing rope, like 6 mil, just enough that'll hold about 2,000 pounds. What else should you be taking? You have to figure that out, write it down, and is everyone carrying the same thing? This is a bothy bag. This is a 2-person, 14 ounces. In the extreme winds, you pop this thing open, you sit in it, lean back into it. That helps support it. You can stick your trekking poles up in that little port, get you out of the wind. It's got its pros and cons. You're not going to sleep well in it, but it will shelter you from any major windstorm that comes up. The bivvies are great. They're by themselves. You're not with another person in there generally. So it looks like a sleeping bag. It's real lightweight. Same thing your space blanket is. Just tell you this, space blankets do not work in the winter. Try opening up and maintaining a space blanket around you in 70-mile-an-hour winds. It just does not work. So get a good bivvy bag or a bothy bag. Maybe you carry each a bivvy bag and one person carries a bothy bag for a group. You can get them in 4, 6, 8. We use the 8 and 10 person for winter rescues when we need to work on a subject and shelter them from the environment. Okay, special winter considerations. Extra clothes, socks, gloves, and hats. You're already thinking, my God, I got to carry all this stuff. That's right. You're going to need a bigger pack. Long gaiters for the snow, something that's going to go up to your knee. You're going to be able to keep your lower calves a little bit warmer and definitely keep the snow out of your shoes. Sturdy wind pants, you decide whether you want with or without insulation. That's a personal decision, but something to block the wind so it's not blowing through your pants. Even if you're wearing long johns, you will get cold in 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds if you get caught in that kind of condition. And yesterday, that's what we had rescues doing. Webbing and a beaner, you should know how to do a quick harness with some webbing, some beaners, enough to make a quick harness. Snow goggles, get the sunglasses, throw them away. You definitely want snow goggles and you want interchangeable lenses. If you have to come out at night and you got your daytimes on, it's going to look really dark. So be sure you got interchangeable lenses. Face mask, polypropylene face mask covering your head and neck, keeps your neck nice and warm, covers your mouth pretty much, and your forehead. You lose 50% of your heat through your head. This will help keep it in. Again, the white gas stove for high elevation, 10-ounce thermos, and it's always kept with hot fluid. So rule of thumb is if you're drinking your thermos, you stop as soon as it's done, you stop, melt water, and reheat it and refill your thermos. Tea, hot chocolate, whatever your preference is, always have a thermos filled of 10 ounces of hot fluid. If you run into an emergency, you have that immediately ready to access. You don't have to start trying to get a stove going and get that started while you're dealing with the emergency. Battery pack and phone cables. We've had a couple people that we've had to rescue. They're not necessary, rescue, but we have talked with that They had battery packs, and when I asked what kind, they pulled it out, and she had the charging cable, not the phone cable. So she had the phone, she had the charging pack, but she had the wrong cable. She never would have been able to charge her phone. So be sure and double check that your phone cables connect to your battery pack and do work. Micro spikes and an Alpine axe. Definitely you want to carry those at all times. You'll run into a lot of different conditions. Know how to do an arrest. You've got coulars, you've got a lot of ice buildup. What is a nice little trek in the summer, maybe nothing but a sheet of ice and pack snow in the winter. So do learn how to do an arrest. Transceivers, shovel and propel, your AVIS gear. Know how to use it, put fresh batteries in your transceiver. Practice your checks before you even go out the trailhead. Get your group together, get out in a field and start doing your transceiver checks like you've been taught. Be sure you can do that, because they may be saving your life and you them. New batteries in the transceiver. I don't care. Just new batteries in, be done with it. You don't have to worry about it. Home sitting pad. I like these blue pads you can use for your sleeping pads. I cut mine in half, just enough to go from your shoulders to your bum. Fold it in half, stick it down in your pack, and you can then sit on it when you're stopping for lunch. You can kneel on it if you need to work on something. If you do need to spend the night, guess what? You've got a little pad to at least cover your core of your body and keep you up off the snow or the rocks. Snowshoes, do you going to need them? Well, I don't know. How long is your trek? You might need them through portions. Once you start post-holing, you're going to wish you had them. So you have to decide, snowshoes, go or not, no go. CAIC, check your current AVI forecast. Check your detailed, and I'm talking detailed weather forecast for the area. Find out what's coming in from the west, the prevailing winds, not just for today, but for tomorrow as well. Check your AVI the morning of. So you're up at 3 o'clock, get the coffee going, sit down at the computer, pull up the AVI and the weather conditions as of that moment and see what's changed. People say, well, what do you like? I like Yak Track Diamond Grip. They are small, round little diamonds. They hold well on the snow, dirt, and rock. The best thing is you can climb with these over boulders, okay? Your micro spikes are fantastic for constant hard packed snow or ice, but you do some climbing and get one of these spikes stuck in a crack, and sometimes I have actually left a micro spike there and had to go back and peel it out of the crack because I bent it. So I carry both. They're very light, and I switch off depending on conditions. So mixed conditions, Diamond Grip. Anything constant and hard pack, go with the micro spikes. Here's a challenge for you. I want you to bivvy one night near your car at a high elevation. Let's start up at Mount Evans, go to Echo Lake, go up by the campground. It's pretty sheltered, but you'll still get a nice experience. Use what you have in your pack and only what you have in your pack. The idea here is to survive survive simply on little gear rather than simply survive. It's not going to be a pretty evening and you're going to be up at dawn, but big thing is you need to be able to spend the night. And no cheating, no running to the car and getting something or warming up. So get that under your belt and be honest with yourself. Okay, so once comfortable with your bivvy, try your gear out on a short hike. Lower elevation climb. There's many 12 and 13,000 foot hikes that can present mixed route challenges that are perfect for you. 3 miles in, 3 miles out. Did the gear work right? Can I stop? Can I get my stove going? Can I get hot water? How long did it take? Try all those things out before you go up on a 14er. Practice, practice, practice. Satellite messengers versus a PLB. This, I believe, and I strongly say, is a must-have. A few weeks ago, you may have read where 7 snowmobilers up in Routt County, called in on a Garmin satellite messenger. They were stuck, and it was snowing so bad that the road that was cleared for the rescuers to go up by a snowcat literally filled up with snow in 4 hours. And these people were not prepared to spend the night. They put everybody at risk going in at that time during the middle of the storm because they didn't have the right gear. So a satellite messenger is something that works with the satellites. You can message to and from your unit to someone else. Personal locator beacon, you press the button and it just sends an SOS up. So Garmin and SpotX are just 2 examples. There's many out there. We don't recommend any specifically. These are two-way communicators. They have mapping programs that your person at home, wife, loved one, whatever, husband, can actually track you on the computer while you're going real time. They can send you messages back and forth. You can message them. Hey, we're going to be 2 hours late. We said to be out by 6, more like 8. We're okay. Everything's fine. Hey, that's great. Nice to do. There is a small monthly fee. Starts around 15 bucks. It's very cheap when you think your life may depend on it. These are 2 PLBs. PLB, you open it up, press the button, and it sends an SOS out. The problem with the PLB is we don't know what your problem is. We don't know how many people are injured. Take down at Canjejos the other day, 5 snowmobilers, okay, they had an avalanche. They had a couple trapped. All we would know is you need help. We don't know what it is. So if you can get a satellite messenger and carry one of those with you and use it properly, then rescue can be a lot easier and we know where to find you. Avalanche transceivers versus a messenger and a PLB. So far, I'm a state coordinator. I was one of 25 for the state. We manage the rescues throughout the state. And we've already had about 7 or 8 misfires where people have taken a Garmin inReach or a PLB and hit the SOS button when they're going down the hill, thinking it's a transceiver. So they don't even know what they have. And all of a sudden we've got aircraft and we've got rescue teams going out for somebody who's just doing a little backcountry skiing. So do not use a messenger or PLB as your avalanche transceiver. It's totally different. Don't let this happen to you, okay? These people spent 22 hours on the mountain. Poor shoes, the conditions. They had no gaiters, no wind pants, no goggles, and I think they didn't have a lot of they were very cold and they had frostbitten feet, and that's why they had to be rescued. They could not move anymore. Snow got down in their shoes, melted, and you know what happens when you get wet in cold conditions. They had to spend 22 hours on that mountain before rescue. When you go out into these mountains, be prepared to spend the night. That's why I want you to practice bivvying and living in that condition if you had to. We talked about the 10 essentials plus 1, PLBs, navigation, map and compass, and GPS units, helmet and beacons, AVI. First aid, know how to use it. I had 4 people come to a trailhead one day when I was doing trailhead PSAR, and asked somebody if they had it, and one lady said, yeah, but do we actually need to use it? And I said, well, it might be helpful. She said, I've never thought of that. Your flight plan, where you're going to go, when you're going to come back. We'll talk more in a second about that. You're in town, probably a term you've never heard of. This is the most important member of your party. This is the responsible adult who stays back at home and monitors your track during the day. You're able to communicate if you have a satellite messenger with that person. The in-town is able to track your progress. They can see how fast you're moving, how slow you're moving. They can text you messages and says, hey, that storm's coming in quicker, turn around now. Very, very good to have. But what does an in-town do? They know the detailed flight plan. By this, I mean from start to finish, exactly where you're going to go, what trail, what's plan B? Like I said, what route would you get off if you had to get off the mountain? Have details, especially of all members, phone numbers, names, spouses, addresses, car information, all the emergency contact information, your start and return time, a firm call 911 time. And by this, I mean, you as the party determine we will be out by 6 o'clock or 7 or 8 or 5 or whatever. If you don't hear from us by then, you call 911, not at 5:05 or 5:30, at 5 o'clock. If that's our time, that's the time that person calls 911. I've had people say, well, gee, Bruce, I took your class. I'm an in-town, but they never left me a phone number to call. I don't know who to call. Well, you can call 911 and tell them to route you over to wherever, but it's also helpful to have the number for the county sheriff in that area, but you can always call 911 and get routed. Track the progress on the computer. Greet to messages. Again, okay, we're at the trailhead, we're going to take off. In goes a message. I confirm with the message back, I'm the in-town, I got your message. Good luck, have a good day. The next message, we're stopping for lunch. Okay, great. Enjoy your lunch, everything's fine. Next message, we're at the summit. Okay, great. Come on down, how things look. Weather's great, blah, blah, blah. On your way down, you stop for a snack. Again, another message. We're stopping for 20 minutes. And why is that? Because when you're tracking somebody on the computer, all of a sudden the dot stops moving and you wonder, are they okay? The dot hasn't moved in 30 minutes. Did they fall? Did they punch through an ice field? What's happened? Are they okay? And they're over there enjoying their hot chocolate and everything else. So let the in-towns know when you're making your stops and when you're starting up again. All vehicle information, make, color, model, license plates. We need that information with the sheriff to figure out where you are and definitely if that you are there and have not left. Known medical issues, find out what medical issues people have and if they're taking medication and if they have that medication that they need during the trip. Clothing, what colors? It's really nice. We've had some rescues where mom actually took a picture of the 4 kids before they went off at the trailhead. She dropped them off, took a nice little picture. We knew exactly what everybody looked like, what color clothes, what color packs, what color hats, etc. It helps us find you. More information, the better. Don't be worried about it. You got to get the information out because the sheriff's going to ask for it when things go south. Weather forecast, again, today and also tomorrow. Your route selection, what's the difficulty of that? Is that a summer rating or a winter rating? Look at the strength of your weakest member. That is what you gauge everything by, the weakest member. Not the leader going, oh, I can do that. I've done that in 5 hours. That's no big deal. I'll give myself an extra hour for winter. You got to think about the weakest member. I'll tell you a quick story is Mount Rainier. We had 4 people come up from California, 2 on a rope. So there was 2 rope teams, 4 guys. The weakest person was the last one on the second rope team. The leader on that second rope team, according to bystanders, was really bullying the second guy. Come on, you can do it, keep going. There's a difference between being supportive and being a bully and pushing. Needless to say, the guy fell over with a heart attack. The gentleman unclipped him, left a note and said, we'll pick him up on the way back. We went to Summit. He ended up going to jail that night. Okay, so you go with the weakest member, the speed of that individual. And if they say no, the group turns around. If anybody says no, you turn around. The mountain will be there another day. What time of day are you going to leave? What time are you going to be out of there? You got to look at all those factors. Big, big, big. Do not separate your party. Heat early, weather clues. Keep your eyes peeled, looking at the weather changes. The wind used to be in my face. Now it's at my back. Uh-oh, something changed. Have a realistic schedule. Get the Goddess Summit. Again, it'll be there tomorrow. Do it later if you need. Be a lead and think, don't just rely on others. Don't jump off the cliff because somebody said so. You all know that one. Correctly estimate length of time for your route. Give yourself plenty of time. Summer does not equal winter. You've got a lot of, maybe your summer trailhead's closed. We've had people that said, oh, gee, I didn't realize the trailhead for Beardstadt was closed. Now that added 2 miles each way to their trip. They're going to do 4 miles before they even do the hike. So it's a lot of extra work and takes extra time. You got a lot of extra weight, but double it, start with and go from there. Remember the ground rules. Turnaround time is firm. Hey, if we don't make it by 10 o'clock, we turn around. I don't care if we're 500 feet or 1,000 feet from the summit, we turn around. It's firm, non-negotiable, and that's the agreement everybody has before you head out. This is for your safety and the safety of the group. Just remember, if one person becomes immobile in that group, all of a sudden your entire day changed for everybody. So you want to avoid that. Leaders shall not bully the team. Anyone can say no. I thought I could do it. I just don't know. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Okay, be supportive, help that person out and talk with them on the way down and try something else with them later so they can work up to it. Obviously, they bit off more than they can chew. Don't separate the party. I said that before? I think so. Never separate. Everybody participates in the planning. You don't just, well, I'll show up. Billy's going to do the route. I'll just follow him. You need to know it just as well as everybody else. And you travel out completely from start to end. Match the terrain and conditions to yours and your party's ability. Everybody's ability. The weakest person has to be on the forefront of your mind. What can he or she do or not do? Are we pushing that too far? Gadgets fail. Low tech doesn't. As much as I love my Garmin InReach and I love Sartopo and all that other good stuff, stuff can fail. So you need to be able to still use a map and a compass, know where you're at on a map, look at it periodically, mark it down and turn around if you need. Recognize your problems early. Don't wait until it smacks you in the face. Turn around, call 911, get the SOS started right away. We'd rather get that early and get stood down. Hey, we made it out. Sorry, we're 3 hours late. We're already up there getting in to find you. That's cool. That's all right. We'd rather have that happen than you wait till 10 o'clock at night and say, now we're in trouble. And now we've got a big problem. A normal rescue might be 25 to 35 people for us, that we're going to put 35 people at risk because you didn't do your job. So you got to think about that as well. Everybody's going to come and do what they can to save you, but you've got a responsibility to think about things early as well. Prepare for a long wait for help. Typically, you're looking at 8, 10, 12 hours before we even get to you. And then it's going to be another 8, 10 hours out. A simple rescue during the summer on grays and tories is 14 to 16 hours. That's in the summer. Don't expect a helicopter. You hear it over and over. Just send me a helicopter. Isn't going to happen. You know, you want one of these? Don't even plan on it. Okay, it's not in the cards. Things about prevention: manage your body heat. Look at sweating. If you sweat, you're dead. You want to be able to be sure you've got all of your clothes in a situation that you can peel it off quickly and easily. Get down to one bulky layer is not going to do it. You'll overheat and you'll become hypothermic and have problems. Start out cool, not cold. So the last thing you do, throw your stuff in your pack. It's chilly, you're shivering just a little bit, but you got your snowshoes on the ground and you're taking off, and in 5 minutes you're going to be warm. Shed clothes well before getting sweaty. You sweat, you're dead. Okay, it's very difficult in the winter to dry out wet undergarments. If you do get wet, change into dry undergarments. This is where I carry silk long johns as a backup, both pants and top. Strip down, get down to your skin layer, put on your silk long johns, put your pants back over top, put your other long johns that you had in your pack. Maybe they'll dry out in the freezing cold and you can knock the ice off of them. Be careful at rest breaks and not cool down too quickly. We've had situations where people peeled off so much clothes because they were hot for a break, sat down against a rock, and in one personal situation, a gentleman wouldn't listen to us, and literally in 20 minutes, his temperature had dropped to 91, and he is hypothermic, and we had to spend the night there to keep him from going further down. So be very careful to not cool down too quickly. What is hypothermia? It's a decrease in the core's body temp, the level at which normal muscular and cerebral functions are impaired. Any ambient temperature less than 98.6 can be linked to hypothermia. As a paramedic, I would get called all the time in the summer to a nursing home. I got a little 97-year-old lady weighing 92 pounds, hypothermic because the staff turned the air conditioning down to 68. And all she had was a sheet and her little nightgown on. The bottom line is heat retention and heat production. When those two are less than the cold challenge, and doesn't matter what the temperature is, you can go hypothermic. So keep that in mind. What do you look for? Umbles, stumbles, the mumbles, the fumbles, the grumbles. Hey, Billy, all I said is, can you walk faster? You don't have to bite my head off. Oh, gee, John keeps dropping his sticks. He can't hold his sticks anymore. The guy can't, seem to hold anything. He's always mumbling. I can't understand what he says. Those are the first signs for hypothermia. Deal with it sooner than later. Show changes in motor coordination and levels of consciousness. And if you don't address it quickly, it can go south very quickly and continue on. Acute mountain sickness. And again, some of this stuff, folks, and I apologize, is very quick. You could spend 2 or 3 hours on any one of these topics. So I'm just trying to hit the high notes. Similar to a bad hangover, Causes headaches, lethargy, dizziness, fatigue, poor sleep, loss of appetite, nausea, and even vomiting. AMS is very common. Some people are only slightly affected. Others are awful. Denverites can get it just as well as Flatlanders, from Kansas or, wherever. So be on the lookout out for AMS. We've had folks on our team that live at elevation. I'm talking 10,000 feet. Go up to Mount Evans on a rescue, go in a half a mile and come back out and said, I can't do it. I just got pounding headache today. And that's the start of AMS. You descend, and I mean down as far as you can, get back down to Denver. Some places and articles will tell you descend 1,000 or 2,000 feet. That's not enough. Tell that to the lady that came out here from Minnesota that spent a day in Colorado or a day in Golden, then spent 2 days in Aspen, and then got a campsite up at 10,000 feet, went and did a 14er, came down, had splitting headaches and wanted to go home. Her friends talked her into staying the night. She never woke up. She was dead by morning, cerebral edema. Unusual intolerance, pain, visual perception, light is late stage. This can occur in 2 to 3 hours, may take a little longer. You're going to notice it right away. It doesn't matter how fit you are. Oh, I run 2 marathons a week. Great, doesn't matter. Send. AMS leads into HAPE. So advanced stages of AMS are the beginning stages of HAPE. These are Venn diagrams, I'm sure you know. HAPE, high altitude pulmonary edema, higher stages of that have already started into HACE. HAPE at the lower stages can be resolved out of the hospital. Once you start HACE, high altitude cerebral edema, it can only be cured in the hospital. So go in, get checked out, be on the safe side. Percentage of oxygen available. But Denver, we're at 83 already, but you live here and you acclimate to it. Echo Lake, 69%. We have a drop. Mount Evans at 60%. So 23% drop in O2 is a 28% reduction in available oxygen at a 14er. How does your body handle that? Start off with that 12,000 footer. Go to the 13,000, maybe go 13.5. How are you handling the altitude and the lack of oxygen? These are common mistakes that we see as rescuers, and this parts of this presentation was put together by about 8 rescue groups across the state. So this isn't me. This just is not Alpine. This is across the state of Colorado. This is what we see for fitness. Groups separate. Not only do we have to find group A, but now we have to go look for group B because they got lost. Meetup group, I didn't know who he was. He said he's climbed Mount Everest 14 times without oxygen, and he can't make it up this one. You don't know. Inadequate gear, had no idea. Look at those people spent all those 20 hours on the mountain. Improper clothing and footwear, test that stuff out beforehand. Not acclimate well to the altitude. And maybe you've been up there before, but today is not your day. Be prepared to say, it's not my day, got to turn around. Not prepared to wait for rescuers. We hear that over. Oh, I wondered why you weren't here quicker. Well, be prepared. It's going to take a long time for us to get there. Expecting a helicopter is not going to happen. Summit fever. I'm so close. I just got to do it. I got to do it. Taking shortcuts. The trail you are on is the shortcut. So learn your trails. And I'll tell you, on the Sawtooth, there's a point where the trail bifurcates. One goes down to the left a little, one goes up a little. The one going down looks really well worn. Maybe that's the trail we take. That's the goat trail. And that one, everyone gets cliffed out on, and we know exactly where they're at because they can't move. We have to go rescue them. They should have taken the trail to the right. So know and read up on your routes and know about special turning points. Starting too late, you got to start early, 3:34 in the morning. Not knowing the trail or the route, again, not knowing where to go. Relying 100% on technology. Oh, I don't know which way's north. I don't know. My cell phone died. They don't even know which direction they were heading and which direction their car is. No map and compass, nor a GPS unit. Didn't have anything, no guidance. Not appreciative of weather differences. Again, city and mountain. Could be very, very nice down here, but it could be disastrous up on the mountains. More challenging peaks, this is what we've seen. Teams want to split up. I can't make it. Okay, you two stay here, and the two of us are going to go up and we'll come back and pick you up. And meanwhile, these two waiting get anxious. They go off on their own, or somebody's got to go for a potty break. Meanwhile, the other team comes down, walks right past them, doesn't even find them, and heads on out. Meanwhile, the other two people are just standing there waiting. Happens all the time. Again, expecting a helicopter to come up. Skills don't match ambitions. Know how to do ice axe arrest. Didn't know how to tie a knot. Don't know how to belay somebody. And why do I bring that up? Maybe a route that you have climbed, a low 5th class, high 4th class route in the summer, very easy, right? To climb during the summer. It can be murderous during the winter, and maybe you need to be able to be belayed just on that 5 or 10 foot section. Because if you slip up there and have a problem, that's it. You got a problem. Not sharing specific details of travel. Again, we've had rescues in the last couple of weeks where the poor wife at home called 3 different sheriffs because she didn't know what county her husband was in and he hadn't come home. Many summits in a day. Hey, that one's so close. Let's just do that as well. Stick to the plan. Not prepared to wait for rescuers. Oh, too long. Falls on the snow. It's slippery, it's icy. We'll get summit fever. Being off route. Shortcuts don't work. She team leader, again, heard that one over and over. These aren't things that we make up, folks. This is what we hear from the people we rescue, okay? Relying on technology. Here's some testimonials. I have to get better at route finding. People we've rescued. I have to learn my knots for real. I had insufficient respect for the mountain. When you realize the day is blown, accept it and descend. Self-arrest techniques must be practiced until it happens in your dreams at night. We had a gentleman that hiked up to a pass, set his pack down, hiked about 100 yards over to have lunch. On the way back, he decided to walk a little bit to the west of the trail that he went in on because there was a little more snow there, and he was in his ski boots. He hit an ice patch, fell 400 feet, broke his femur, broke his pelvis, crawled over to a rock, laid there and died. In his pack was a PLB. We could have got him that night, but he left his pack and walked 100 yards away from it and fell and died. So it can happen. I need to learn better how to use first aid kit and practice it so I can do it when my hands are still shaking from the cold. Prepared, we thought we were pretty well prepared. What we carry now is a lot different than what we carried before. Try that bivy challenge. Do that first. See what you do. I would have killed for a bivy bag that day. It was so cold. That can be a lifesaver, to crawl in there, cut the wind, and protect you from the wind for the night. It ain't going to be warm. It's not a 5-star hotel, but it may save your life. Be prepared to wait out the night. another testimonial. You got to be prepared for that. That's something people really need to have drilled into their conscious. And you can be, hey, I've done this 5, 6 times. I've never had a problem. That's great. And I'm glad and happy for you. But what if? How many times would you jump out of an airplane with just one parachute? My parachute always opens. But the day it doesn't, you're going to be glad you got that backup parachute. And that's what the 10 essentials are. That's your backup parachute. So in a nutshell, a responsible adult, you're in town, who you're with, your route, what you're carrying, where you're going, when you'll be back, how long it's going to take, blah, blah, blah. Be searchable. Be searchable, what's that? Increasing visibility and detectability that helps us find you. Wear things with reflective clothing, okay, sewn on it, a hat, gloves, maybe a coat. Carry equipment appropriate for the conditions. Reflective materials, bright colors, headlamps with a strobe. Even during the day, we've had rescues where the Black Hawk operator has said, I can see them, the strobe light. I'm 1.5 miles out and I can see the strobe light. Okay. People always say, but the helicopter was so close to me. Why couldn't they see me? There's a whistle, close in stuff. Let's talk about being visible here in a minute. Crestone needles. Where's Waldo? There's 4 people stranded on this face. You're in this area. Save time, you're not going to see them. We had to blow this up on a very large screen to see it. Here's the result. Red arrow at top is our rescuer. He is in bright fluorescent yellow. The yellow arrows down on the rock down below, in order, the top one was wearing a red coat, the next one a yellow coat, the next one blue, and the last one black. They stood in place for 30 hours before rescue. And because of the winds, we could not chopper them out. They then had to hike out another 4 hours. It was brutal. Let's take a look, see. That person is up to his chin in snow, got caught in an avalanche. He survived being buried up to his neck for 6 hours, but dug out and hoisted out along with the rescuers. What if he had highly reflective materials on his coat sleeves or glove or hat? How much easier it would have been for that helicopter pilot to see that person. So think about wearing highly reflective materials on your equipment as you're going out, please. In a nutshell, temperature drops 4 degrees per thousand, lightning kills. We had the rescue going on down in Conejos the other day for a snowmobiler. You probably read about it, who died. There was thunder in the afternoon. You get lightning from the static electricity of the snow. And lightning can kill, whether it's by rain or whether it's by snow, it can still happen. So try to be off the summits by 10. If you're lost, bivouac, spend the night prepared, fuel up, hydrate, rest up, and get ready to come out in the next morning. Watch for hypothermia, rockfall, ice hazards, wear your helmets. belay, any kind of climb that has risk of injury. Those cold rocks can be extremely slippery in the winter, where you had good purchase of rock with your shoes during the summer may not happen during the winter, and there you get an injury. Learn to recognize problems early. Make note of your return route. Look back often. Make written notes. Turn around and say, wow, that's what it looks like going downhill. Maybe I'll take a picture of that. You know, that's where that big rock is. Okay, when I go down, that big rock should be on my left. Altitude sickness, again, look for that. Aided only by descent. ACE, treated only at a hospital. Be willing to turn back, and the mountains don't care. Cell phones, PLBs, Spot, Garmin, blah, blah, all great. There's no substitute for preparation, and that's what I'm trying to teach you guys today, is if you prepare properly, the 14 or 13,000 footer, whatever you're doing, is going to be a lot easier if you do the preparation. So the goal, we want to come home again. Okay. So this was put together in part by Alpine Rescue Team, Mountain Rescue Aspen, Rocky Mountain Rescue Group, Summit County, Vail Mountain Rescue, La Plata, and Custer County. So with that, and we've got our main screen. If you want to go out to our rescue team and donate, that's great. Learn more, look at our educational review, stuff out there. So I guess at this point, turn it over to Alex or Brendan. Is there questions or whatever that we need to deal with? I'm going to stop sharing if that's okay. Oh, no, I'll leave sharing on.
Yeah, Bruce, a couple things that I made some notes on here that I want to emphasize. Particularly the information that you leave to the in-town or what you leave in your vehicle. One of the first two things that we're going to do as rescuers is we're going to verify you actually went where you said you were going to go. So by knowing the description of your vehicle, the sheriff is going to go out there and verify that your car is actually at that trailhead. I can't tell you how many times we go to that trailhead and there is no vehicle there. And hours later, we find out you were down, you finished your hike and you were down at the bar having beers. So before we send a field team out there, we're going to verify that you actually started where you said you were going to start.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in real quick, Brendan, on that.
Sure.
Another point that Brendan's talking about is, remember that in-town, what if you took multiple vehicles up? The in-town needs to know that. We're looking for then 2 vehicles. What if the first vehicle couldn't start and everyone got in the second vehicle and left? They went down and they're having a beer at Bojo's in Idaho Springs. Meanwhile, we find a car and we think somebody's up on the mountain. We've started a search. So your in-town has to know every vehicle that's being used by that party. Go ahead, Brendan. Thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to point out was the phone numbers. With the other thing that we're going to do right off the bat is we're going to try and call all the phone numbers that are on your contact list. And the important thing to note there is when you're out on the mountain, whether it's a 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 foot peak, not everybody should have their phone on. As a matter of fact, they should not all have their phones on, only until you get in trouble. 1 or 2 people is fine if you're doing mapping and tracking that way. But several people should keep their phones off because, and again, can't tell you how many times the call we get says, my phone's only got 5% battery left. And here's all I can tell you is we need help. So we will call those phone numbers. And lucky living in Colorado, there is quite a bit of cell service, especially at the higher elevations through most of the terrain. So we have pretty good success. The other thing is, most people don't realize this, but all cell phone carriers are required to pick up any 911 call from any other cell carrier. So if you're a T-Mobile customer and you dial 911 and you're only on AT&T service at that time, AT&T will transfer that call to 911. In some areas, you can actually text 911, and it takes less of a signal and less power from your phone to text. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
No, that's a good point. Try to make the phone call first and then ask if they can do a text, because that'll save on your battery power and gives us a few more minutes of talking to you and finding out what's going on, telling you what to do until we get there, and just comforting you and letting you know that we are on our way, but it's going to take a long time. So do you have questions, Brendan, that you want to answer for the group, or how
No, the only question that came up was somebody had asked, what is a self-arrest? And basically what that is, it's the ability, if you lose your footing on either snow or ice, it's your ability to stop yourself from sliding using typically an ice axe, but it can also be done using hiking poles or ski poles. It's not the sort of thing that you can learn via video. You have to go out and practice it. It's the sort of skill that you need to know how to do in any conditions, no matter what your fitness is. You need to be able to do it, because that's the only person that's going to stop you is yourself if you start sliding on a snowfield.
Good. Alex, what are your thoughts? Anything?
Oh, I mean, all of that information is great. I can personally attest to the need for practice on self-arresting. I know, it's one thing to go and lay down on your back and give yourself a little push and learn that way and do that 20 times. But, in reality, anyone who's ever fallen, knows that it's not normally gently onto your back. So I think that was the toughest part for me, was sort of forcing myself to fall over backwards or sideways, or, doing a little bit of a roll and then trying to do a self-arrest to make sure that you're really creating, a realistic comparison to what it would be like on the mountain. Because just based on what I was seeing other people doing, I think a lot of people think that's all you got to do. It's just a matter of sliding down the hill on your butt and reaching over and stopping. And yes, that might help better than nothing, but it's certainly nothing like a real fall at 13,000 feet. So great thoughts there. If anyone else does have any comments or questions for the group, feel free to post those. Oh, it looks like we do have a couple of questions. And I can just answer one of them that just asked where to practice self-arresting. And I think St. Mary's Glacier is a great place to do it, especially the snow there tends to hang around into, June, July. And so that's a good place to go for sure. And there's a couple other questions that have just popped up, Brendan, if you wanted to
Oh, okay.
answer those. Yeah.
Well, let me jump in on that. On St. Mary's, I think that's a great place, because if you go to the right, north, you have a little bit a lower slope angle, so you can start off on something a little less steep. And if you move a little bit farther to the left, it gets a little bit steeper. The caution is, be sure you're with somebody, and maybe even be roped in with an experienced hiker that knows how to do boot belays, because if you lose it and can't stop, there's a lot of rocks down at the bottom and you don't want to, get injured. So go with some experienced people and rope up and try your rests at different angles and see what it's like. It is a challenge.
Yeah, to piggyback on all those comments, I took a class with the Colorado Mountain Club. They have an excellent part of that class on self-arresting, and we did it at St. Mary's, and we roped up for all of them, because if you go there in June, it's very easy to slide all the way down to the rocks. So being belayed on that is a very good idea.
When did they put the soft rocks back in? Do you know?
That I don't know.
So no, do seek out you know, some educated and professional help to learn how to do that. It could save your life. Any
There was
other questions?
there was another question from an anonymous attendee about, is it advisable to solo hike in the winter? We certainly don't recommend it. As Bruce said earlier, we recommend a minimum of 4. And the thought with 4 is if someone gets hurt, one person can stay and tend to the injured party, the other 2 can go for help. So that's about all I'll say about that.
Yeah, when you go solo, the big thing is, well, I got my Garmin or I have a PLB and, you know, I got my map and my phone. What happens if you take a fall and become unconscious? You're not going to press that button. So always go in a group of 4.
We have one question that just came up that says, any tips for preserving your cell phone battery in the cold? I think the obvious thing is just to keep it out of the cold, you know, keep it in an inner pocket and out of the wind especially. But I would also add, just no matter what you're going to do, it's probably going to, you know, kill the battery much more quickly at high elevation and in the cold. So I would recommend also just bringing a secondary battery pack so that you can keep that plugged in, and ideally the battery just stays up and drains your backup battery instead.
Turn
Yeah,
Wi-Fi off, turn airplane mode on, whatever.
exactly.
You don't need to be searching every 10 seconds for a Wi-Fi connection when there's nothing there.
Yeah, your
So-
GPS will work in airplane mode.
Correct.
And then I think the last question here is something I've run into this issue before. He says AVI classes are few in Colorado. The CMC has 2 options. Do COSAR search and rescue groups offer courses? And if not, who else?
That is an issue. I don't know, Brendan. There's a number of schools over in Silverton. You can Google it and find out.
Yeah, I'm sure
Ask
you can
around who's
Google it.
running what types.
Yeah, I don't know if the Colorado Avalanche Information Center has any links on their website, but that's a good place to start.
Yeah, CMC, obviously, I would ask what they're seeing.
I believe there is a page on the Avalanche Center specifically that's like a searchable, you know, page with different class opportunities. So I would recommend checking out their page and looking for, I think there's like an education tab that it would be under.
Yep.
And then there was another question about should you always hike with avalanche gear? Well, you know, as they say, if there's snow on the ground and you have a slope, it can avalanche. So what we do as rescuers is whenever we go out in the winter, we never leave the parking lot without having all of our avalanche gear with each individual. And we check the beacons every time we leave. And every time we stop and start, we check again.
Take a look at Vallecito, the 2 folks that got killed out there. Just was it Saturday or Sunday? Low slope angle on a burnout area. And even CAI said they hardly ever see that run, but it ran. The snow was just such and the loading was just such that it ran and killed 2 people. And these people actually were wearing the blow-up vest. My mind's blank right now. Brendan, what's that called? The Avi bag.
Yeah, the float bags.
Float bag. They were both wearing them. And they surmised that the avalanche hit so quick and was so quiet, they never even heard it coming, never even got to pull the cord.
Yeah, and something I heard just recently about the airbag packs is that typically in Colorado, and I think that example down in Vallecito is an example of it, the slides don't run far enough for the flotation effect to really take effect. And you get those, you see those lines that people ski in Alaska where you can slide, you know, hundreds or thousands of feet. That works really well with those float packs. But when you get a short thing where it's just a 100, 200 foot slide, you don't have enough movement in the snow for that for the dynamics of that to really take effect.
That's a good point. Yeah, it was a deadly weekend. I don't know what we ended up having. 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5 this weekend, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I think that is all of the questions we had. Just several thank yous for you and Bruce and Brendan. Just an appreciation. This was a fantastic session, and Marcy said there's so much she has to learn, and I think I also too was reminded of how much I have to learn as well. Just there's so much out there, and it's really a lifelong process, I think, of continuing to stay open and keep adding new skills and new knowledge to your bag. So thank you both. Did you have any last thoughts to share?
no, thank you very much. I know it was very fast and I spoke quickly. I hope that was okay, but go back and take your time going through the recording that Alex did. He'll post that up, and do listen to all of the information. There's a lot of information there. And Alex, I can't wait to hear your bivvy report.
Oh yes, I have promised to go out and take the challenge on and go do a bivvy here before this winter ends and see how that goes. So definitely follow along with the blog, and I will make sure I post some lessons learned so that you have a less miserable experience when you go through it. So thanks for the reminder, Bruce.
You're welcome.
This was super great.
All right, with that, unless there's anything else, I'm gonna close out.
Yep, I think we're good to go. Like Bruce said, I'll be sending out the video recording and then also a copy here of the slides so that you can kind of go through this again, especially before you start planning your next climb. So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope everyone has a great rest of your evening and safe travel out there on the trails. Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
I know.